Let's start with those the celebrations if you can find them and let's
Yeah.
call some success out. I think celebrating that early and often is awesome.
Oh, for sure, for sure. So, one of the things I love in our group is that we always ask for weekly wins.
Mhm.
And so I've been screenshotting some of the wins that people have been having for the last few weeks. And I absolutely love them. So some of them are in our Smarter by Summer challenge and some of them aren't. But it's been really great to see people stretching their boundaries. The one that I really am excited about is my title rep. I actually sent her the link and had her sign up for it because she was telling me how scared of ChatGPT she's been. And she actually just popped into our office about 5 minutes ago and she said, I gotta tell you, she goes, I'm using ChatGPT every day now. She's like, I have it on my phone. She's like, I'm pulling it up. I'm testing things out. I'm trying things new. And then she actually posted in our weekly wins that one of the things she did was she used ChatGPT to find a highly reviewed business that offered specific services. And then she also used it for email replies. So she kind of like had a tough situation. And so she talked it out with ChatGPT first and then came up with the reply that she said felt fit the situation the best.
That's
So
awesome.
I loved that, which she took like directly from the prompts that we gave.
Mhm.
So that was huge. And then another win was in the group as well that somebody used it to help formulate what they were looking for in a VA. So they did the thought exercise back and forth with ChatGPT to figure out what a job description was for this person to fit exactly what they needed in their business and to save them some time on that. So that was a really cool one.
Yeah.
Um, and then my favorite still is when anybody uses it for brain dumping. Like
Mhm.
my ADHD brain always loves a good brain dump. And so I shared that tip into the ADHD group. And I've gotten so many text responses back from people that are using it for that service now. So even if they're only using it for that one thing, like how much time did they just save by doing one thing a day with AI? It's
That's right.
awesome.
That's awesome. And that's like case in point. Like ultimately the big goal of this event is to get people using it and get excited about it and with your lender moving from that I don't know about it to like hey, I'm using it every day and it perhaps is more figurative than literal, but truly like that 11-minute goal is so powerful. So thanks for collecting those and thanks for sharing. Everyone who's checking this out on replay or who's here with us, thanks for playing along and getting involved. It's been a lot of fun getting the challenge going, and I'm super excited to kind of move the ball forward just a little bit and start talking about next steps. So today, what we're doing is we're going to actually be diving into how to navigate the AI frontier, if you will. And it's kind of what we called it. But essentially, I've been in real estate technology for the last 6 years, and anytime I could listen to a real estate agent sharing about the things that they're doing in their business that have been driving success for them, I absolutely love doing that. And historically speaking, there has been one single thing that has been time and time again brought up, and it's the idea of systems. So I'm going to be sharing a lot of today about how we can kind of stack that together. But before we get going too far, just a little bit of recap. Um, the goal of this is that 11-minute win that we were talking about. If you can save just 11 minutes of time each and every day, that is enough to validate that AI works for you. And so that's what Kristen and I are moving towards. And at the end of this, hopefully, you guys are going to do the same. So, Kristen, if you want to just do a quick, 30-second reintro of who you are for those who don't know, can't
Or
imagine.
maybe joined late. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Kristen Carter. I am a full-time real estate agent in the Phoenix market. I've been licensed for 8 years and on an amazing team the entire time. I also have a bit of a technology background. I came from digital photography and marketing. And so bringing that into my real estate business was a really good fit when I just discovered AI and the power that it had for helping others. And then because I'm a big nerd about it and started talking about it, I then started teaching it. And so I've been teaching ChatGPT to real estate agents for the last 2.5 years and run an amazing mastermind group called ChatGPT and AI Mastermind that has, I think we're almost up to 11,000 members now, which is crazy. So yeah, so it's been a ton of fun. I've gotten to teach across the country. I got to be on some stages that were really cool opportunities. And so I just really love helping people see the value that AI has and the fact that it's not something to be scared of because it's here and it's staying. So we need to use it in the right way.
That's right. And I think that I just want to really drill home the point that like Kristen, you are such an incredible mind when it comes to thinking about how to use AI practically. It's really easy to see all of the social media posts. It's oftentimes that I find them on LinkedIn talking about these like really lofty LinkedIn style garbage, things. But you've done such a good job of like really breaking it down to like how can we actually use this practically? And I think that the proof in the pudding is where you've gotten to speak, what you get to do, who you get to help each day. So it's been a lot of fun getting to spend time just tag teaming in on this. For those who don't know me, my name's Cody Stepp. I am a real estate technologist, and I actually own a software company that is working to make the legacy CRM obsolete. And we're doing that by basically reimagining what a CRM is using AI. And we can do a lot of really cool stuff, but because of that, my life kind of sits in this weird cross of real estate, technology, and AI. I have a background in marketing. In a former life, I was a graphic designer, and then in a lifetime before that, I was a scuba diving instructor and a traveling cheerleading instructor. So there's a lot of personalities that come into me. If you find yourself wondering like why is he the way he is? That's me. But I have gotten the pleasure of working with my pops for about the last 8 months or so. I'm actually at his house right now, and we are working to build this piece of software together. But I've been in real estate technology, I like to say, since almost the beginning. If you look at the top left photo, that's actually me on my first day in the same office and different computer setup, obviously. But at the end of the day, we truly believe that technology can be a means for you guys as real estate agents to live better lives, and we say that it can free up time for the things that matter most: friends, family, goals, hobbies, or just growing your business, whatever season that is. And AI is fundamentally one of the easiest ways to do it, and so it's arguably one of the things that we like to share about the most. Now, I like to put up this disclaimer, Kristen, because we're gonna have a lot of folks that are coming from a lot of different places. And I don't know that we yet in this world have what I would consider AI experts. It was funny when ChatGPT first came about, there all of a sudden popped up in the first like month or two, all these experts. And luckily our community was quick to shut them down and say, no, 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 no. No one's an expert. We're all in this boat together. But whether you are just starting off with AI, whether you are still building that AI habit, or you're in the trenches, you're building, you're applying it daily, and you're doing some really incredible things. My goal for you is for you to just walk away with one small insight, one note, one idea, or something that you didn't have before. And if we can do that, I'm going to think that today was a success.
That's exactly how I feel in every single one of my classes. It's we're all in different levels of where we are. And sometimes I have people come to my classes that have been using AI at a higher level than I have even. And still, if I can give them a tidbit or a tip or a trick or something, that's a huge success for me. And then I also get to learn from them. Every time I teach a class, someone has a great question or they've got a great way that they're doing something. And so very much like AI is still that mastermind. And it's very much a community based on like, oh, they tried this, I'm gonna try this, but I'm gonna do this differently and see where it goes.
Absolutely. when I was a cheerleading instructor, I was actually a collegiate cheerleading coach for 6 years. I spent 12 years in college cheerleading, like as an environment. And at the end of my tenure, my athletes were much more talented than I ever was, which is ultimately the goal, right? But I think about this often because they were more talented than I was, but I was coaching them because I could see things that they couldn't see. And it's that exact same concept. Um, you're going to see things that we're not going to see. And so Kristen and I are very much the students as well. We're just we're leading you along this path and we're going with you. So don't think that you're alone in this. And even if it's just Kristen and I hunkering down with you, we're in this together. So the kind of the core thesis of today, Kristen, is this next logical step. I I have a mentor. His name's Russell Brunson, and he's a mentor for a lot of reasons. He's another marketing guy, but he also built and runs a software company. It's a piece of software called ClickFunnels, and it's working to replace websites, and so that's a really fascinating thing. But he talks about the next logical step. So when I was thinking about, gosh, what would a really good session two be for you guys? After you just spent 25 days um, learning about AI on a fundamental level. And I think that it's sharing that idea that I have spent the last 6 years observing real estate agents who are operating at a really high level talk about. And these are the agents that are doing 100 plus transaction years. They're taking 2 weeks of paid vacation, mandatory as a personal rule. I have a friend who she gets off at 3 p.m. each and every day, and she goes and picks up her kids and spends the afternoons with them. And they're not falling behind because they're leveraging systems. And so I really want to kind of impart this wisdom and really take it to the next level and infuse this idea of AI. So we're going to do some big shifts in mindset with systems thinking plus AI. So you've already started building the habits, and now it's time to kind of see what's possible, right? So before I go too far, the word system is kind of a confusing word, and I want to make sure that we like break it down super base level understanding because there's just no need for doing really anything else. So a system is just a series of tasks that make up repeatable processes. Um, Oftentimes, us technology folks call these workflows, but realistically, it's just things that are done again and again and again to produce that desired result. If you're a super technical person like Mark, you're going to call that deterministic because you have a desired goal that's been determined and the system is actually going to help you do it. So in real life, if we want to think about it more so, we all have systems. These are not new ideas. I talked about James Clear, Atomic Habits, last session, and he was talking about building systems. That's what habits are. They're your daily routines. You probably have a morning routine. Kristen, I don't know if you're a coffee person, but I wake up in the morning, I make some coffee, I take my roommate's dog for a walk, go brush my teeth, shower, get to work, right? That's my morning system. And that system helps me function and operate consistently. That's exactly what a system is. So this shift really starts to come when we think about the traditional thinking that a lot of real estate agents have. It's this speed to lead at the worst end of it, 14-hour days, 6-day weeks, this hustle culture from Gary Vaynerchuk that's just, it seems, has just absolutely permeated, or I really think it's almost set our field back because it's burning people out. And then we have on the other end of things systems thinking, right? So this is kind of me presenting this new idea to you, and I'd really challenge you to start to kind of chew on this and think about it. But it's the, hey, I've already written this message, I've already done this task, or maybe I've even followed this process twice. If you've done it more than once, probably a good candidate for a system, especially if you're going to do it again. So you can start to think about, man, what are these things that I'm doing again and again, and how can I let AI help me? So, case in point to those success stories that you were talking about, being able to brain dump into ChatGPT, it's going to start giving you feedback as to how you could organize yourself better. Kristen and I'm definitely ADHD, and on top of that, I'm dyslexic. So my goodness. But I don't know. Do you use ChatGPT to build out schedules at all ever, or organize
Yeah.
your day?
All the time. All the time. Like seriously. I'll give it my brain dump. I'll tell it what's on my calendar already because I haven't figured out how to link crap yet. I will figure that out. But for now, it's just as easy as saying, hey, here's all the things I need to do. I already have appointments at this time and this time. This is my drive to each of those appointments. Now make my schedule for the day. And because my ChatGPT one knows I have ADHD, and two, it knows the 80-20 principle, it gives me my day in the order that is actually the most productive for me. So on the days where I can't brain, it brains for me, and it's lovely. And to your point about systems, if as real estate agents, we're sending the same emails over and over and over again, those are the first things that should be systematized. There should be, like, you should not be starting from scratch on every single email you write when you're having to respond to a repair addendum or when you're having to tell a buyer how to get pre-qualified. Like those should be templates for you. So like if nothing else, make that the first system.
Absolutely. And I man, I love that because I think that when when we brain dump and we really lean into ChatGPT helping us with those things, like ChatGPT, if it's giving you a schedule, it is not planning for you to have a 14-hour day, you know? And so like some of
Yeah,
those traditional thinkings are just going to get wiped off the board. So, Kristen, I've got a really fun little framework for us based around this thought that you just shared. Um,
perfect.
so Mark Stepp is my father. He's my business partner, and he is a real estate technologist who has built, I guess I'm going to say now three, but two of the most widely used CRMs in the industry. He, over 35 years, has been teaching real estate agents about how to build these successful businesses. That's kind of why I got to spend so much time listening to them. And his little mechanism for teaching, I actually just yanked right from him. Mark, I hope you don't mind. We share about it all the time, so I don't think he does. But he calls it his core strategies framework. And this is how we can think about where should we be building these systems to start. So those emails that we send again and again, those are the low-hanging fruit. And those follow somewhere in the core strategy. So core is an acronym. It stands for conversions. It's anything that's bringing in leads or attracting clients to you. Your operations is how do we streamline our day-to-day tasks? And then retentions actually dives into how do we keep our past clients around? How do we build those repeat referral networks? And I'm a big fan of this idea of what we call a world-class client experience. So, how do we build long-term relationships with those people? And if we start looking at each one of the core strategies and thinking through, okay, how can we actually apply these systematically? We're already setting ourselves up for success because we have the map. Now, the last one I kind of tiptoed around, it's experiences. And I did that because technically experiences isn't its own. Mark says that it kind of weaves into all three of them. And so when you start applying the experiences to how you bring in those leads, how you streamline and operate day to day, and then how you build those relationships, what you're going to find is some really cool things happen. And Kristen, I think that just what I know about you and how you do business, and even just what you were sharing with me about how people engage with you, I guarantee there are a lot of little areas that you've already plucked from the core strategies and have directly applied.
We do. I mean, our team's big thing is giving our clients a five-star experience. And a lot of that is simply being extra communicative and doing what we said we'd do. I mean, that's it. And when you have systems set up so that you are free to think about the extra things, then you get to go the extra mile and you're not constantly being like, oh, did I send that email? Did I follow up with that person? Did I do what I needed to do to give them the bare minimum? You already know the bare minimum's covered. And when you can bring the technology in and the systems into it and you can automate, which is where this is all headed, then it's just even up and above. Like you find out it's their birthday, cool, go send them some cookies. Like you're not worrying about, did I send that a repair addendum? You're like, what else can I do to surprise and delight my clients?
That's right. Oh man, you're on the money. So, I like to send out little bonus resources. This is a resource that Mark and I put together. We were teaching the core strategies to a group at a startup week in St. Louis, and so we put this together. It's what's called a one pager, but you can find it at workflowsecrets.info/AI business systems development, the world's longest URL. Just grab the QR code, and we'll go ahead and we'll make sure. Here, let me throw it in the chat too. That seems really excellent.
Yeah.
But what is inside of it is just some extra resources on how do you think through the core strategies. It's one of those resources. I already built it. I might as well send it to you. So hopefully it can help you with thinking about your core strategies. But we kind of, let's front load this idea of systems. I got to get you bought in on what a system is, but we also want to add the AI component. So where are these systems hiding? What are they? And just like you said, Kristen, it's those emails, it's the processes you do again. And then once you have the baseline stuff, you can start doing those above and beyond five-star surprise and delight little moments. So I like to say, some of the things that we can look at: handling follow-up, texting buyers, emailing sellers, checking after showings. These all follow into the conversions because you're helping nurture in some capacity, right? Then we've got generating content. That's kind of conversions plus operations, but it still falls very much into the systems that are hiding inside these areas. And this is listing descriptions, social media posts, maybe it's YouTube video details. And we're actually going to dive into a lot of how we can use those for the next 25 days. So I'm super excited because I really think that you're going to learn a lot from that. And then there's the retentions part, the staying in touch with leads. Now, it's funny because I personally believe I have several different training series on this idea of like the post-sale experience for clients. Every time I ask a friend who bought a house, how was your experience? They always had a great experience, but then they probably haven't heard from their real estate agent in quite some time. So that is a really big opportunity for us to surprise and delight because most people aren't doing it. And when you do it really well, that's where you build in your repeat referral. And I could go on and on about why that's so great. But if you didn't have to spend money to bring leads into your business, wouldn't that be awesome? Especially if it's past clients who are sharing about how great you are, man, that just feels really good. And so that's where, sending out birthday emails, throwing in check-ins, or the just thinking about you messages, that's where things like that can come in on a really base level. Then we start building out, maybe send a crumble cookie for their birthday, or I love this idea of sending as your closing gift just a little gift basket of maybe it's got smoke alarm batteries and it's got the exact air filter that they need for their house, and just all these little odd and end pieces that we probably know they need, but they don't know yet, and they're probably going to need it in the next 3 to 6 months. Then you could follow up something like that with a message that comes at that 3 to 6 month mark. hey, don't forget it's time to change your air filter. Here's the exact air filter that you need to get off Amazon. And if you like want to go super meta about this, you could even set up an Amazon affiliate account, and then you get a commission when they decide to buy that air filter. Now that's up to you if you want to do that, but arguably if they were going to buy it anyway, you might as well get a buck off of it. That's pretty cool. So things like that can really up the ante for those post-sale individuals. And then obviously streamlining transactions, that's going to fall into that operations again, but then kind of experiences. So listing timelines, buyer documents, pre-closing checklists, all of those things where those buyers are going, I don't know. I when my significant other was buying her house, she had just a million questions. And it was funny because she's asking me, the real estate technologist, and I was like, don't ask me, ask Bailey. She's your expert. And your ability to show up as that expert, it goes so much further. So those are where some of those systems are hiding. Kristen, talk to me. Like, what are some others that you personally have really leaned into?
I mean, honestly, this is really where I'm at with my AI right now. I'm growing into the automation, and that's still a part where I want to be, but I'm just not there yet.
Yeah.
So this is where I'm at. I am using ChatGPT for my client emails. I have templates set up with ChatGPT, so all I have to do is go in, I pull the base, I edit it to fit the client, the situation, all the things, but it takes me way less time because I'm already editing something that exists. So I'm doing that, using it for all the things too. So yeah, so follow-up texts, emails when they're in contract. Our TC handles most of it, but there's some touches that I have to give. And so I'm using them for that. My social media is almost fully written by AI. I mean, I've customized it so much that it sounds like me, and I only have to do basic edits, or on the fly as I'm coming up with like using it for ideas, I'll be like, okay, that's a cool idea. Now let me run with it. And so, yeah, so for content purposes, it's been great because it removes that overthink that I don't have anymore. I'm like, oh yeah, I need to make a video. I should probably go ask ChatGPT and then make it. Um, so doing that for sure. And then I'm going to totally steal your idea of the Amazon affiliate account. That is
Please
freaking
do, please do.
genius. And I love it. And we have to change our filters in Arizona monthly. So that'll be real fun. And I'm just gonna send that out. And because my clients are always asking me, what size do I need? I'm just gonna set up an Amazon link. It's so smart.
Yeah,
So yeah,
and like I will say that like that specific effort is probably going to take 30 seconds of your time when you're doing the pre-closing inspection. You got to go look at the furnace anyway. Just jot down what size air filter it is. And then Kristen, we will dive into the next step, the next logical step, if you will, for session 3 of like actually building out some of those automations. But I even sometimes fake automations. And what I mean by that is I manually do things that probably should be
same.
automated, knowing that
Yes.
one day I will build that automation. And so having those templates already built, having, maybe it's even a Google spreadsheet that has all of the different air filter sizes for all of your different clients. So you can just quick grab it. Boom.
Yep.
You're in business. And please do. I let me find the links for this, but I have like a full mini training series on this, and I will make sure that we get that sent out too, because it's kind of
Fun.
a fun one. And obviously it's a mini training specifically for my software, but it's widely applicable if you just think about the process. Um,
Yeah, yeah. Well, and for a lot of people, that's the thing is the thing that takes the most time is figuring out what that system looks like for them and what those steps actually are. So right now, for somebody who's still fairly new to AI, it's starting to think about those things. And what are my repeatable things? What are the things I do every day, every week, every month? And how can I systematize that? What are the steps I do? And which of those can be handled by technology instead?
Exactly, exactly. And that's like the core of what I'm challenging you guys. to take a step into. Now, I'm not saying you have to jump in. Maybe the water's cold. It's only just June and we haven't had a lot of sun. So, like you don't have to go cannonballing in, but thinking about it's definitely going to get you started. So, here's what I want to do. We're going to take where are these systems and let's like actually apply some of these through prompting. So, I've got an example for each of them, but let's start first with that handling the follow-up faster. So here's the prompt. Write a friendly text message I can send after showing a home to new buying lead. Keep it short, professional, and personal to me based on my writing style. We'll dive into that in a second. And I want them to feel comfortable and clear about next steps and be compelled to action with a quick call to action for next steps. Now, I could have put CTA, ChatGPT would have known what that is, but that's the prompt that I would have written to do that. But let's kind of like actually break it down. And I love doing this, kind of deconstruction review of how we're thinking about these prompts. So write a friendly text message. That's kind of the objective. The overall goal of the output that I want ChatGPT to give me is to have a text message at the end of this. Now, after I've given it that overall goal, there's some situational context that I personally chose to include. I can send after showing a home to a new buyer lead. ChatGPT is going to go, okay, I know exactly the type of person this would be. From there, I'm giving it a couple of details on how I want the overall text message to be written so that it can start to formulate it. And just like Kristen said, the more you use it, the more it's going to understand you and your writing style. And so I'm saying, hey, keep it short, keep it professional and personal to me based on my writing style. Now, that part right there, you can do two things. If you have a fancy schmancy $20 a month paid OpenAI account, which you don't need, but you could have, you can actually include some details about your writing style and it will remember that. That's pretty neat. Or if you are just getting started with AI and maybe $20 just doesn't seem like the best investment right now, that's cool. Glad you're here. That's I want to make sure we have some low barrier to entry things. You could literally include a writing sample. Maybe it's an email, maybe it's a short story, maybe it's a poem, whatever it is. You could include that as a little attached document, and you could, instead of it in parentheses saying based on my writing style, maybe say based on my writing style dash that I've included. And so then the chat GPT can go, okay, let me read this real quick. And then it'll go, oh, you've got a great writing style. You're fun, you're energetic, you're professional, you're like very knowledgeable. Now I know what's going on. So I'm including those details so that it can do that. And then I'm a big fan of throwing multiple output objectives, I like to call them, or just their goals. But you don't always have to. But I think that the systems themselves are strong enough to be able to do it, so you might as well. The more you throw after two, maybe the less likely it is to be a really great thing. But you can definitely get away with two. So I want them to feel comfortable and clear about next steps. That's how I want them to walk away from this text message and then be compelled to action for a quick call for next steps. Now that's the marketer in me. Kristen, it's fun that you also have a marketing background. I think I understand you more as a friend now. But those are the two objectives for this. And what you would get if you threw this in is a friendly text message that you can send to that new buyer lead. So, Kristen, give me your thoughts. What are you thinking about this one?
I really like this one. So for me, I really like giving context. And I feel like this gives a lot of context in a few short words, actually. Like you don't need to write a whole paragraph to give the context. So I really like the inclusion of new buyer lead because that tells ChatGPT who this person is to you, and how to frame the conversation because it's going to be a very different conversation if they're a new buyer lead versus someone in your sphere that you're super comfortable with. And if they're in your sphere, you're probably not asking ChatGPT to write you a follow-up text because you already know them. So having that, even just that little tidbit, it will change the entire tone of what that text looks like from ChatGPT. And then again, I agree with you on the output objectives. If you put too many, it gets convoluted and it gets watered down and ChatGPT gets confused. But I do think that giving like a goal of like, hey, this is what I want this communication to do for me, definitely is needed. And again, it gives ChatGPT, who's got this wide knowledge, it gives them very narrow scope to give you your response. Um, and by including your own writing style, the hope is that it actually copies you and sounds more like you and less like ChatGPT.
That's right. And when you do that, like the ultimate output that accomplishes is you don't have to spend as long editing it because whatever it gives you, please edit, read through it.
Please,
Don't just send it. I say all the time,
please.
like you wouldn't task your new VA with sending out unfettered emails that you never even looked at. That's too much power, and
Yeah.
Uncle Ben would be ashamed of you. So just like review what's going on. But
Yeah. And if you're going to copy and paste, don't copy and paste the little bit at the bottom that asks if they did a good job.
oh
Like,
goodness.
come on, y'all. At least read it before sending it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so funny. That happens a lot.
I've
So
seen I've seen far too many this week.
I believe that. So here's one that I kind of adjusted specifically to Arizona for you because I think it's fun. But then B, this is probably like a little bit of a glimpse into what you're doing to almost completely automate out your social media. So just like Kristen can do it, you can too.
Yeah,
So this is I have a new 3-bed, 2-bath listing in Scottsdale, Arizona. Are you in Scottsdale? Is
I do. Yeah, I serve the Scottsdale market.
I got it. Yes. It's a desert modern style with vaulted ceilings, a backyard saltwater pool, and remodeled kitchen. That sounds like a pretty cool place. I'm
I
in.
really want to go to that make-believe house. It sounds awesome.
Yeah. Now here's what I like to call power phrases, and we'll dive into that in a second. But as my social media expert, act as an Instagram manager and write 3 social media posts for the property that sound exciting but professional, keeping the tone helpful for local buyers, and includes a CTA to DM for showings. Now that's a lot of little abbreviated letters. CTA is that call to action. I'm asking them to take something. DMs are just direct messages. Um, we're all tech people, I know, and that's probably super layman, but I don't want you to go, what's a CTA? So breaking this one down, I'm leading off with that situational context. Now, I like to think of this as like when you are catching your best friend up with all of the hot gossip, all of the tea, you're probably going to give them a little situational context. In this case, ChatGPT is your bestie, right? You have a new 3-bed, 2-bath, Scottsdale, Arizona. From there, we can move into a little bit of the detail about it. It's a desert modern style, vaulted ceilings, backyard, saltwater pool, and a remodeled kitchen. Now, I don't actually know. We have like mid-mod in the Midwest with Frank Lloyd Wright. Is desert,
Uh-huh.
is that a real style?
I mean, some people use it as a style, so yeah, it
Okay,
it
cool.
it exists. It's like desert contemporary. I mean, yeah, it's a thing. Um, yeah, we have stuff like that. We do have some mid-century modern as well
Oh, cool.
from Frank Lloyd right here.
I'm a big fan of mid-mod. It's like
Yeah,
it feels right, you know?
yeah,
Uh,
it's good.
And then I said that I would circle back on this. This is what I call those AI power phrases. As my social media expert, we're telling ChatGPT of all the things you know, of everything in the entire existence of ever being written that has ever been consumed by you. I want you to think only about the things that pertain to being a social media expert. So we're zooming in what it's thinking about. And then I'm actually zooming it in just a little bit further after that. Act as an Instagram manager. So we can use these AI power phrases to really focus it, but then we can also get it to team up with us specifically for the task at hand. So because it's um, a 3 bed, 2 bath, I'm imagining that this specific social media post is going to be maybe a carousel post. And so it's going to be on Instagram. We now have that. Now, we could do a couple of things after that. We could change the platform. But for this specific one, it's going to be an Instagram manager. And then what I like to do is we're tasking the expert. So I'm asking it to write 3 social media posts. Now, the reason I say three, I kind of swing between 3 and 5, but I like it giving me a couple options. And then usually what I will do after it gives me those options is I will ask it in the next prompt, the follow-up question, which is the best. And so then we're actually tasking the expert to filter down from what it has made for us. So that's like a really cool, just like bonus tip for you. But then at the end of it, I have 2 output objectives. Keep the tone helpful for local buyers, include a call to action for a direct message for a showing. So this is kind of formulaically how you can start to build out social media posts. This one, would probably be for a property that you just listed.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and something else that can be added too is, as you were saying, write these posts and then tell me the best one. Well, giving it some context to what is the best also helps that. So, like, if you're looking for reach, if you're looking for growth, if you're looking
Mm.
for conversion, if you're looking for, you need to tell ChatGPT kind of what you want that post to do for you. And it's not always get the most views. If every single post you're making is to get the most views, you're going to make no money on social media. I mean, that's a vanity metric. So you need to be changing it up. And so you can ask ChatGPT too. You can say, hey, which one of these posts would be the most engaging to my local audience? Which one of these posts is most likely to get them to call me for a showing? Which one of these posts is going to reach the furthest? Which one of these posts is likely to gain me followers? And so, depending on what your goal is, ask ChatGPT that question versus just asking it which one's the best.
Oh, that's so good. I love that. That's like see, that's my nugget for today. Hopefully I'll
There you
get a
go.
couple more, but
I love it.
that's so good. Yeah. Okay, so then next one, that's kind of, our operation, social media. We have to feed the algorithm, if you will, but then staying top of mind. Now maybe we're moving into our retentions. So write a short, thoughtful message I can send to a past client who just had a baby, Luca. I want it to feel genuine, celebrate the moment, and serve as a minimally invasive check-in that builds the relationship. And then I have this in parentheses. This is like another little personal tip that I sometimes will talk to ChatGPT on like little sidebars. So that's kind of what this is. And the first time you do it, you kind of have to explain that's what you're doing, but then usually ChatGPT just knows that about you. So I'll put in parentheses, they might need a new home soon, so staying top of mind is key, right? So that is how we can do this. So let's dive into exactly what this is. The objective, write a short, thoughtful message. Boom. Situational context. We're sending it to a past client who just had a baby, and we even know the baby's name, so we might as well throw it in there. Um, I chose the name Luca actually because one of my teammates just had a child and he named it Luca, and so that's kind of fun. Details. You want it to feel genuine and celebrate the moment, and then we've only got one goal here, which is totally fine. Serve as a minimally invasive check-in that builds the relationship. Now, I threw in the words minimally invasive couple reasons. One, because they just had a kid, they probably don't want to have a bajillion trillion text messages. And you, as the real estate agent, have a little bit of a closer relationship with them than, say, Best Buy does, who is going to send them a happy St. Patrick's Day, happy 4th of July, happy Thanksgiving, all of those emails. You get to send these little personal messages that are just a little bit closer to home, but you gotta treat that with a little bit of respect. So adding things like that can be really helpful. And then like I said, I kind of use it's almost this like chain of thought thinking. It's that brain dump, if you will. But it's just subtext to ChatGPT. I often put it in parentheses, and then sometimes I will get a weird output, and then I'll have to explain, oh no, this was subtext. And then the output that I get after that is like the best output I've ever had in my life. And so this is a really fun way that you can act as a teammate alongside ChatGPT as you're actually working on these different pieces.
Yeah. I'm tracking up at your subtext to ChatGPT in parentheses. Um, I do that too, but I don't ever put it in parentheses. I just, I don't know.
Just part of it.
I was trying to figure out, I'm like, how do I do that? Because I know I do it.
Mhm.
Um, I think it's just in between. Like after a prompt that gives me something, and I'm like, that's not quite it. Here's what I'm thinking. Like, here's my train of thought.
Mhm.
Now give me something better. And then usually after that, it gives me what I wanted. So I should just include that in my first prompt, and maybe it will actually do what I want. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I kind of love this whole parentheses thing or
it's
brackets or
collaborative.
whatever you want to put it in.
Yeah. I definitely encourage, give it a try and see like
Yeah,
I would be curious if if it's collaborative versus like corrective, is
yeah,
and if it is excellent. If not, be like, "Hey Cody, that subtext thing where you're talking to ChatGPT, it actually isn't doing anything for you." And then I can move on with my life and it's like just a little bit more text that I've like removed from my day, right?
right. Yeah, I'm gonna try it out because now I'm curious. Now I'm like thinking about like, okay, how do I do that and what am I doing? I'm also curious too, the order of things, if putting some situational context first versus second, objective first versus second. I haven't played like A/B prompting that way either. And so now that's getting added to my list of like things to try.
Yeah, like
Um,
fun little experiments.
Yeah, because I am very curious, like if it takes just the whole thing in its entirety and thinks about it, or if it does go line by line and order makes a difference. I don't know. So now I'm gonna find
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Like how logical is its logical brain would
Yeah.
be that's like a really interesting thing. So I've got one more that I want to dive into, and this is all about like transactions, right? So I'm working with a buyer whose offer just got accepted. Create a 10-step post offer checklist I can use as a guide or a resource to help them stay informed and on track. In this step, on on the inspection to close process, please include tips, tricks, and traps. It's one of my favorite little quips to say, to watch out for, and write it in an eighth grade reading level with the goal of delivering clarity and understanding. Um, I'm gonna circle back on that last piece, but I love including this in prompts. So at the start, we've got that situational context. I'm working with a buyer whose offer just got accepted. And then we've got our overall objective. I want to create a 10-step post-offer checklist. Now, I was talking about this, with us a little bit earlier. My significant other, she had so many questions. I guarantee every single one of you has a laundry list of questions that you are constantly answering. Kristen, I guarantee you've templated all of them, which is excellent. And so this would be a way to take it one step further and turn those questions, those FAQs, if you will, into guides or resources that you can be like, oh my gosh, what a great question. Here's the answer. Here's like an entire thing you can study up on if you know they're like a super studious person. Um, you want them more situational context. You want them to take this guide or resource to stay informed and on track as they move through inspection to closing. And then we're going through some details, include tips, tricks, and traps to watch out for. This is something that Mark actually uses all the time, so it's fun to include. But what ChatGPT does is it actually does a really good job of including, the good, the cautious, and the bad. And so this is a fun way of calling that into existence. And then our first objective, write an eighth grade reading level. We talked about this last time, but it's worth going over again. Generally speaking, most people in the US prefer to read things at an eighth grade reading level. It's easier for our smooth brains. And if you work with really high-end people, maybe lawyers or doctors, if that's like the specific niche that you find yourself in, you could probably bump that up to 10th grade. Maybe you're working with younger people and maybe you want to go a step even further into making it more simple. The ask me like, or explain to me like I'm five is like really popular on Reddit, and you could go as far as that, or maybe dumb it down to like a sixth grade level. But establishing the writing grade level helps kind of curate exactly how many big words it uses, how long the sentences are going to be, and that's kind of what's happening there. And then the second goal of this is to deliver clarity and understanding. And so we're kind of wrapping it up with a bow of like, okay, at the end of the day, this is the ultimate thing that I'm trying to give them with this guide.
Yeah. Yeah, you're making a checklist. And so telling ChatGPT why you're making that checklist is huge. I would also say that like the 10 steps, that can be changed too. It could be like, hey, we actually have this many steps, or hey, in our contract, it's this things, or it's broken down by week. I mean, that objective portion can totally be adjusted depending on what somebody needs out of it. But the whole concept of creating a resource for your clients, again, that goes back to it's not only a system, it's part of the experience. Because if you can have them, their expectations set up front where they know what's coming next, they feel like they're heard, that they understand what's happening, they have clarity and power in the transaction, and people are more likely to remain calm when
Mm.
they feel like they have control. So we have found in our transactions that the times that they get the most sketchy is when people are afraid, when they don't know what's coming next. And so having these resources for your clients is one, it helps you because now they're not bugging you 100 times with the same questions. So you're freeing up your brain space to do other things. And then two, your clients feel like you are there for them and that you anticipate their needs. And then that leads to the 5-star experience. So all of this, love all of this.
Yes, yes, absolutely. One of my friends, she's a broker out of Glendale, California. Her name's Kendall, and she was really big into the ninja selling and that idea of like how do you answer their questions before they've had that question in their brain is like one
Yeah.
of the easiest ways. And when she shared that with me, I was like, that's genius. So it's showing up as the expert that you are because you are, and making sure that you're meeting their expectations, sure, but you're surprising them and delighting them at every turn. So,
Yeah, I'd also say to go back to your 8th grade level portion
mhm,
of this, because I do think that that's such a really great step to include in a lot of different prompts. I loved your idea of explain it to me like I'm whatever, 5, 8, 10.
yeah.
Um, Ask ChatGPT sometime as a thought exercise to describe the process of buying or selling a home in your state at an 8, 9, 10-year-old level. And see what it says to you, because those are the questions, those are the things that your clients are thinking about. They only buy or sell a home every, what, 5 to 7 years, 7 to 10 years, whatever the number is now. We do this daily, weekly, monthly, all the things. And so, because of that, you should have the answers for them before it becomes a question. And so, kind of playing with ChatGPT to remember the things you've forgotten also will really help you find those systems.
That's such a good point. One thing that Mark actually, I remember when we first started this group, Mark had shared about maybe this is just like another little side tangent, but if you are niched into selling homes to maybe first-time home buyers, maybe new families, or families that have little kiddos, you could build out resources that are specifically for those kiddos because think about the kid who is also going through this transitional phase of going into a new home. And then think about how you can show up for your actual buyers, their parents, by being like, hey, I have this really cool coloring book called Jimmy and Sally Buy a New Home. And you could build that using ChatGPT. It's going to write a custom storybook or, it's going to make a custom coloring book. Then you just print it out on copy paper. And when they show up to your office, boom, you've got it. And so there's all these little small things. Yeah, that talk to me like I'm 5, 10, whatever is such a fun little thing. I don't know that I've ever done it on ChatGPT, but even from my standpoint, like as a person who sells software, sometimes my software is pretty complex. And it's complex because it helps you guys run almost every facet of your business really well. And I can get into the habit of being super technical about what I share. And so always thinking about, man, how can I simplify? How can I make it more understandable? Can my significant other who is a paramedic and has nothing to do with real estate, nothing to do with technology, can she understand what I'm talking about, or are her eyes going to glaze over?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, and it's those things right there. Or like you said too, if you're writing something up and you feel like it's too technical, put it into ChatGPT and say, "Hey, how does this read? Can a regular lay person who reads at an eighth grade level understand what I'm saying here?" And then ask ChatGPT for feedback on it because you'll be amazed at what you can get, and how often we glaze over things because we're so in the business that we don't think about the stuff that everybody else is thinking because we're thinking different things.
exactly. So, um, so those are kind of the prompts that I have for us. But here's like the core thing. AI is the engine. You are the architect. I say this all the time. You're the expert in this. And so when we start taking all of these ideas, when we start thinking about how can we use AI and how can we build out systems into it, like what does that actually do for our business? And this is where I shared earlier that Mark and I like to use technology to help free up time. So when you do this, that's that extra cup of coffee with past clients, or maybe it's a slower walkthrough for a first-time home buyer. Maybe it's a call that doesn't feel rushed, or an afternoon that isn't just overwhelmed with tasks. It's all these little tiny things that just make life more enjoyable. I share this because it's an extreme, but the 14-hour day, 6-day weeks is like that's reality for some real estate agents, and it doesn't have to be that way. And some of our most successful examples, success leaves clues, are using systems to help remove these things, and then they show up for their people. And I think ultimately that is what I'm hoping you'll like take away from today. So let's kind of review what all we covered. I talked about what a system is, how we can apply AI to it, looking for tasks in your life or in your business. When Mark used to teach this, like pre-AI, he used to share that you would do a 2-week audit, and every 30 minutes you set a timer and you write down what you did for the last 30 minutes. And then you put it in an Excel spreadsheet or write it on post-it notes, and you start building out these really elaborate real life things. But you don't necessarily have to do that because of the ability for ChatGPT to meet you where you are and spot patterns with you. But once you do that, it's just rinse, repeat, and you start winning back time one prompt at a time. So that is kind of what we covered today. Here's next steps for you guys. Over the next 25 days, just like the last 25 days, I'm going to be sending you an email each and every day with a little anecdotal writing. It's going to have a prompt that we can go and we can take that prompt. Maybe we adapt it to ourselves. Maybe we adjust how it reads specifically to what we need. But ultimately, start trying them out. Plug them into ChatGPT, see what you get. And if you get something that's really awesome, you hit that little reply button and you say, "Oh my gosh, Cody, that was so cool. Here's what it did." And if it gives you garbage, hit the little reply button and say, "Cody, what are you doing? This is garbage." And either way, it'll be fun. The ultimate victory for me is that you tried it out, and I'd like to think that I can take a little criticism here or there. But you're always welcome to also ask questions if you have them. Both Kristen and I are here for you guys, ultimately to get bold, have fun, and start using AI each and every day. And then once we do that, Kristen and we've been struggling with technology, Kristen, but we're gonna figure this out probably on day 76.
It's gonna be that's it. It's gonna be that last day where we're like,
Mhm.
yes, we got this live. We figured it out. It's now in the we'll figure it out. We will
Yeah,
get there, I swear.
but we're going to go live every Monday in the group. And if you are not a part of the ChatGPT and AI Mastermind for Real Estate Facebook group, you are missing out because not only is it the coolest group on Facebook, but it is full of real estate agents just like you who are using AI each and every day. We're all in there, we're building each other up, we're celebrating each other's wins. And at the helm is this wonderful person named Kristen Carter who is helping facilitate your success. And so you just got to get in. Man, you can't beat it.
That's
So
it. It's a
so
good place to be.
yeah. So here's what to do next. When you get those emails, just review them, try the prompt, and then maybe do yourself the service of tracking how much faster things go when you're using AI this week. If nothing else, it gives you a little benchmark to start seeing how you can successfully apply that. And then you're going to start building these habits. And after this next 25 days. We're going to regroup at the end of June and we're going to see how June was for you guys. We're going to see what you were able to accomplish this month because of AI. And ultimately, we're going to get ready for the summer and we're going to be much smarter for it, right? So
Absolutely.
you've got the tools, you've got the time now, and you've got your next steps. And the ultimate goal is to make 11 minutes. Now, I know we're running a little bit long, but before we go, I want to make sure that I reiterate these special offers that we have. So, Kristen was so kind to throw up a offer for you guys for some one-on-one coaching with her at 50% off. If this is something that
$50 off, not 50% off. But that's
do
okay.
what?
It's $50 off.
Oh, $50. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
The
It's that means it's 30% off. So it's fine. It's still a good savings.
That is a good savings. So 30% off. I will adjust that. And if
I've
it's
had people take me up on it this month. It's the coolest thing. So, like,
yeah,
we've gone in and in our time together, I have helped people set up their custom instructions and explain why they needed them. We've kind of talked about workflow for people. So, a couple of people have been using it really well and it's doing what they want, but they were losing things in their chat GPT and they needed some organization. And so we did that. And then another person just really wanted help going step by step through what a prompt is and how we can prompt theirs better. So, I mean, really it's whatever somebody needs. I'm here to help.
yeah, I made a note of that. But okay, so here's the deal. If you had not been part of the Smarter by Summer challenge, you would be paying full price. And
Yeah.
so Kristen has kindly, just because you clicked sign up, just because you showed up, giving you 30% off. What an offer, right? And Kristen is one of the best. She understands your world because she is also a real estate agent. She has a background in marketing and she is one of the kindest humans ever. So you are just going to walk away with the best expert that you can get in it. And so if you're like, oh, I don't know, Cody, the answer is just take her up on this offer. And then the other thing that I did, Kristen said that she was going to offer you guys something, and I thought to myself, well, you gotta offer something too, Cody. You can't just be like, all right, and I'll see you guys. So I started this at session one, and I have opened the door for you guys. If you want to see what is possible in the CRM space because of AI, that is what my software is doing. And we are well on our way to absolutely changing the real estate technology industry for you guys. Right now, it is filled with a lot of venture capital backed businesses or broker owned, brand owned, multi-billion dollar tools that you guys just really don't like, so you don't use it. But CRMs have this really cool ability to help you manage your business. And Mark and I have been working really hard to make sure that these tools using AI from day one, from every single element, we've looked at, man, how can we make your life a little bit better inside of your CRM? And how can we help you grow your business and also walk away at the end of the day with a little more free time? And so, if that's interesting to you, you guys have the ability to get access to this software completely free. I'm not asking a credit card, there's no obligations. All you have to do is grab your challenge pass. You go to sam.workflowsecrets.info, sign up. I've got your emails registered so that it'll give you access all the way through the end of the challenge. And you can see what's out there and maybe you can dream a little bit with me. But that's what I've got for you. Outside of that, that's pretty well it. So I want to open up the floor for any questions that we have, and we can end on a really high note. Otherwise,
I don't think anybody has any questions.
yeah, I'm not seeing any questions. All right, well. I want to thank everyone for spending time with us and coming today. It was a lot of fun. Kristen, I always enjoy spending time learning and teaching with you. But we've got 25 days of work to get done.
Yeah, we do. Let's do this.
Hmm. Excellent. Well, do you have any closing thoughts?
I just appreciate everything that you do in your teaching style. So thank you. I love the way you break down these prompts and you show the why behind it so that it's not just people having to copy and paste prompt. Like they can actually formulate their own and make it work for them. Because the more they can do that, the better programmed their Chat GPT or AI partner will be than if they just continue to copy paste things that they find on the internet.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate that. I think that it's like when I was in college, I was in college in a weird time where like some people were taking notes by hand, some people were taking notes on computers. And I personally found that when I would just type out notes on a computer, just in one ear out the other, and the same, I think, is applicable to prompts. When you're just looking at this big block of text, and sometimes those prompts to actually be usable, they kind of have to have a little bit of text to them. And it can cause what I like to call the glazed eye moment where you're like, oh my gosh, this is not for me. And AI is super accessible to everyone. It does require just like 10% of desire to actually learn, but that's a pretty low barrier to entry. And so if I can help make it more accessible, I try my best to. So I appreciate that. Cool. Well, I guess that's it. We'll see you guys next Monday.
Yes. Monday live in the group.